Have you ever craved adventure but didn't know where to find it? Maybe you've wondered if you need to travel to some far off place to discover it. Well, the book we're talking about today showed me that I didn't need to go searching for adventure, that I was already living it. Well, today in the 25 books that changed my life, we're diving into Wild at Heart by John Eldridge. This book changed the lives of countless men around the world, including mine. Now, the big idea for the book is that men abandon their dreams because they fear taking risk or they don't feel equipped to face the challenges ahead. As a result, they end up sitting on the sidelines of life. But that's not where we're meant to be. In Wild at Heart, John Eldridge challenges men to take action, starting with examining the wounds that they carry. These wounds are the past hurts that we have that have never really fully healed. That's right, many of us are struggling because we're carrying unresolved wounds that weigh us down. And Eldridge argues in the book that men are created to embrace three deep desires: a battle to fight, an adventure to live, and a beauty to love. But to step into these roles fully, we've got to address the wounds in our hearts. Every man has them. And while our earthly fathers were imperfect, and some of that might have been created there, our Heavenly Father is perfect and the ultimate source of healing and restoration. Now, I know that's deep. When I first picked up Wild at Heart, I wasn't reading it casually. That's not what I got it for. I got it because I was preparing for my first Band of Brothers Bootcamp. These are events that bring men together from all different generations. And they place them in an environment where vulnerability and introspection are encouraged. The combination of the book and the boot camp really elevated my experience and taught me a ton about myself. I'll never forget sitting in my first boot camp thinking, every man has a wound. Well, every man except me. I've been blessed with incredible parents who worked hard to provide for us and to teach us to respect others and also to believe in ourselves. But by the second boot camp, I began to uncover something deeper. Growing up in a military family, we moved frequently. And as a boy starting over in new places, well, that came with its challenges. It affected my experiences in academics and the way that I could participate in athletics. And I found myself envying those who lived in a small town, those who built deep connections and enjoyed those hometown traditions. But something happened during one of our hour-long solo reflections in the woods. We did those. You had to go off by yourself and spend some time reflecting. And in one of those times, I realized that what I saw as my adversity had shaped my resilience and my adaptability. It really helped me develop one of my greatest strengths. Now, I know that ranks really low on the huge issue scale. I am very blessed. And hearing the other men's stories, which were far more difficult than mine, gave me perspective. But these men all had something in common. They faced their wounds. They asked God to heal them, and now they used their stories to help others. This experience, along with the principles in the book, were life-changing for me, and it helped me transition out of my 20s and into my 30s. But I also made a note that Wild at Heart didn't just impact me as a man, it transformed me as the parent I would become. John Eldridge teaches that boys and girls have specific questions that they ask specifically of their fathers. And understanding this has deeply influenced the way that I raise my children now. He said, our sons are asking, Dad, do I have what it takes? And am I the apple of your eye? I see this all the time in my 7-year-old as he ramps up for Friday night WrestleFest. He's saying, Dad, do I have what it takes? But then after we wrestle for a while, he just wants to lay in my arms. He wants to feel protected. He wants to show me he's tough, but he wants to feel safe and loved. That's what we're called to do as fathers. We're called to provide strength and protection, and that opened my eyes to that. And then for our daughters, they're asking, Dad, do you see me? And am I worth fighting for? As my daughter grew up, I constantly noticed her glancing over her shoulder to see if I was looking at things. She would play dress up and then just do that quick take. And now she bounced down the stairs and she says, "Dad, how do I look?" It never really changed. She wants to know that she's cherished. She wants to know that she's loved and worthy of being treated well because she is. That's my job, to be the loudest voice that affirms her when the world sends her messages that are trying to overshadow mine. This is what we were called to do as fathers, to love, to validate, and to protect our children as they grow up and prepare to navigate for the world. But it also gave me a real realization. No matter how good of a father I strive to be, I'm only human. I'm going to fail. And my children are going to have wounds. And that's why we must continually point them back to our Heavenly Father. He's the one that can heal their hearts in a way that I never could. I want to share one of my favorite passages from you. It's from page 203. See if I can find it. Here it is. This is for you dads out there. The journey has begun. The battle has been joined. A few words now before it sweeps you away. Jesus told a story about a sower and his seed. It's a fairly long, sobering tale. He says that only 1 in 4 guys makes it. The other 3 get taken out by the world, by their own flesh, or the evil one. But you know this to be true. I've traveled a lot of miles with men. Together, we've learned a lot of hard lessons. Yes, I've seen many falter and fail, but I've also seen many rise up and overcome. I'll boil it down to a few essential pieces of advice for you who want to be the valiant ones. The 1 man in 4. So inspirational. The pieces of advice in this book I have carried with me along the way. If you're a man longing for clarity, purpose, and healing, or you're a father seeking to lead your children well, Wild at Heart is a book you need to read. It'll challenge and inspire you to step off the sidelines and into the life you were created to live. Well, thanks for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow as we dive into our next book. I'll see you then.